Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to host another one of our Enliven chats here. Catherine Sharp has brought all of us here together, myself, Ahmed Rame, we have Tara Adams from Abridge Consulting, and we have Michelle Precourt from Mindful HR Services. And today we're going to be talking about mental health and mental wellness in organizations and business today. As we're, of course, still going through the pandemic into our second year of this, there's a lot of important talks to be had. So, Michelle, why don't we start with you? And if you can give yourself a quick introduction for everyone today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ahmed. So my name is Michelle Precourt, and what I bring to today's conversation is some experience working in corporate Canada and understanding the stressors and pressures of being in that environment. And now I run a firm called Mindful HR Services, and what I do with leaders and with employers is to encourage mindfulness and meditation practices in support of health and wellness for, greater workplace success, greater productivity, greater balance people.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michelle. Happy to have you here. Tara, how about yourself?
Hi, Catherine, Michelle, Ahmed. I'm Tara Adams of Abridge Consulting. My specialty is bridging the gap to workplace mental health, and my personal motto is let's get more people, more help sooner.
Excellent. I love it. Really great directions from both of you. And of course, Catherine, how about yourself?
Great. Thanks, Ahmed. And thanks, Tara and Michelle, for joining us here today for this conversation. Very purposeful conversation at this time. My company is Enliven, and I support small to medium-sized businesses on their journey of digital transformation. So I'm really happy to have this conversation with all of you.
Fantastic. And myself, Ahmed Rame, I'm with Marketing by Rame, and I specialize in helping with marketing strategy and brand strategy and helping businesses reach their market goals. Cultivating resiliency in the wake of COVID-19 has been such a top of mind area for a lot of people, not just people in the workforce, but leadership in that workforce, people who own their own businesses, large, small organizations. It doesn't really matter, but resiliency is the one core factor I think that has really come up or bubbled to the top as COVID-19 continues. And so even Catherine and I, in one of our previous conversations around this with one of our previous videos, we looked at resiliency in the workplace and what does that mean? And that was in our future of work videos. And so what I'd like to do now is talk with you a little bit about the future context, perhaps, of mental health. So we're looking at a lot of what's happening today and how we're maybe kind of going through that with today's kind of context. But what about tomorrow when the next thing happens and being prepared perhaps for this going forward versus the hindsight 2020 vision? And so, Catherine, I'd love to hear from you and maybe what you're seeing following that future of work video that we did.
Yeah, I think one of the things that came out of that was that, we need to learn from what's happened, right? There's been a lot of things that have been tried. And that resilience part comes from being able to take a look at that and then what are the next steps, right? Because there's the talk about, some people talk about it like going back to normal. There's no normal. In some cases, that's completely changed for some businesses. So resiliency will come with how well we can deal with those kind of changes and their pace now, right? The pace got very quick. It's continued. It's probably going to continue to keep going that way. So how do we build in those things? And in the context of the conversation we have now, let's have that conversation now, what that means in terms of the mental well-being and the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. Tara, I know you have, in our previous conversations, have built a kind of a quick roadmap, or you verbalized a quick roadmap. If we were to extrapolate on that, what does that look like from your perspective in terms of exactly what Catherine just said? How do we prepare for the future on this as opposed to doing a look back on what this might look like?
Well, I might be the only one who says the last thing I want to do is go back to normal. The last thing I want to do is go back to the way we used to think about workplace mental health. It's pretty cute. It's on the side of your desk. If we have time, if we have money, I hope we have a budget. So now everyone's very clear about the business case, about the importance. It is the right thing to do. A lot of people, leaders, that's the decision maker, is about my people. Is it the right thing to do? Yes. And then, the president and the CFO is like, oh, and also it's the business case. So the future of workplace mental health is a very different priority, very different strategy, and I do not want to go back to normal at all. And the concept of resilience in the future of work, it's interesting, the language, right? You could say resilience, you could say performance, you can say mental health. It doesn't really matter. I do think you know what it means when you have it, and you know what it means when you don't. So you personally, right? Like I know, oh yeah, that's when I had resilience or performance or mental health, and that's when I didn't. But the tricky is future work, constant change, adaptation, all of that. Organizations and media, there's really only one message. The only constant is change. Great, because constant change is really hard on your mental health. Sorry. So how do we marry these two ideas? There's going to be constant change, and constant change is hard on mental health and workplace mental health, and it has a strong business case. So for me, I think we know what to do, but it's hard to do it. So as an employer, stick to some of the constants, I call it the trifecta, the conversation, the role model, the resources. This isn't the time to get super sexy. You don't need a new app every month for your workplace mental health. Be consistent. Conversation, role modeling, and resources. For individuals, same thing. Create those boring, healthy habits and consistent behavior change. Focus on your self-care and your empathy, and be prepared. The idea of being prepared means I'm taking control and I feel less out of control. I'm prepared in my self-care. I'm prepared in my professional care. Even if I don't access them, I feel that being prepared, I know how to cope. So the thing is, we all have to remember, resilience is learned, right? It's a learned trait. So employers can learn to be resilient, and so can the employees. That was a lot.
No, that's great. I love that you touched on both the employer responsibility and the self-responsibility, because it really is a two-way street, right? You have to put in what you're hoping to get out. And if you're looking to your employer to put together a framework around this for you, there also is that element of take control for yourself too. And I love that you hit that on the head, with having it as a two-way street. Both need to be a part of that. Michelle, how about yourself? What are you sort of seeing or hearing in your space, and maybe some tips that you might have?
Mm-hmm. So it's so interesting about what you said, Tara, just about the people who use different language. And I couldn't agree more with that. You said consistency, conversation, and what was the other one?
Conversation, role modeling, and resources. Sounds boring, but this is what we need.
Boring is the new effective. I like it.
Yeah, let's hashtag it.
But it's like different words resonate with different people. So what I was going to add, which is just another way of saying what you said, is look at this from a prevention perspective. So resilience and the creation of a resilient workforce commonly happens when something has gone sideways. And so we learn from those sideways things. But then can we continue the conversation going back to role modeling, resources, conversations, and then set up for when something else happens in the future. This is not a one and done, folks. This is a big one for us, probably, I'm hoping, the biggest one of the decade. But if something else happens, then we have these tools and resources. And I know that that's very left-brained, but you have these tools and resources to set up for success. And then again, you said this, you know what you need. So this is my reminder behind me. This is my laughing Buddha, to smile, relax, chill out. You don't have to be perfect every single moment of the day. So whatever it is for you, might not be a laughing Buddha, it might be something else. But whatever it is for you, make sure that you tap into that. And if you can, if the organization has created this environment where you can share that, maybe a laughing Buddha is going to help somebody else, right? You don't know. You don't know unless you have the ability to talk about it and share about it and be really open and authentic and transparent.
I think the authentic experience there is what really brings that home, both from what it is for yourself, that brings that mental health, that, your version of your own laughing Buddha, as you put, but also that authentic belief in it coming from the people around you as well, in terms of supporting you or the organization on this, call it a journey or whatever it might be. But, especially as we look forward to preventing something like this happening again, or at least building from where we are now. So when the next thing does come, we're already in a place of being ahead versus being behind. This has been really great. Thank you, all of you, for being a part of this and being able to contribute some ideas into how we can better our workplaces for today and tomorrow and into the future, and preventing some of the other challenges that might come ahead in the workplace. So thank you again, and I appreciate having all of you on the call.